This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, Naren this side. I will be the instructor for your Hadoop session, today's Hadoop session. This Hadoop session is provided by Micronet Group, one of the leading training providers across the world. And today's session we are going to discuss about big data Hadoop. Okay, I'm having total 8+ years of experience. From last 5 years, I'm giving corporate trainings. So in this session, we are going to discuss about what is big data, what is Hadoop, and challenges of big data, history of big data, and different technologies which are supporting big data, and current market scenario, job opportunities for big data, all these things we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay, if you get any questions, you can stop me in the middle, you can ask me at any point. So what is big data? What is data first thing? Data is nothing but the information what we are storing in devices, right? Big data, huge amount of data. Big data is nothing but huge amount of data. This big data having some characteristics. So how we can define this big data? Huge amount of data which is not possible to store, process, and analyze with existing databases. When I say existing databases, means on-hand databases like MySQL, Oracle, DB2, Teradata, many databases are there. With these databases, we can able to store and process the data. We call it as big data. For this big data, we have some characteristics like volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. Before going into that, I want to know when you started using first desktop, what was your hard disk size? I want to see your answers in the chat box. When you started using your first computer, what was your hard disk size? You can type in chat box your answers. Okay, I got one answer from, okay, still I didn't get the answer. Guys, are you able to hear me? Please confirm.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm expecting answer when you started. Okay, 40 GB from Pankaj. When Pankaj started using his first desktop, that is 40 GB, Anku 32 GB, Nandan. Oh, Nandan 8 GB. Okay. Okay. So Ramesh also 40 GB. So here, okay, most of the people saying 40 GB. Now, what is okay? From that point, that point 40 GB to now we are getting 2 TB pen drives also. 2 TB pen drives also. From 40 GB hard disks to 2 TB pen drives. Storage capacity you can see. And also, let me say how data size increased. Initial days, how people used to store the data in records. People used to store data in records. After that, they started entering data into Excel sheets or some data sheets. From that point, when social networks came into the picture, people started using social networks. People started uploading their own data. From employees used to store data in records, after that Excel, after that people started uploading data. From that point, now devices uploading data into for example IoT devices, sensors are sending data. Okay, let's say you have um, Fitbit or something, activity tracker, or some mobile apps are able to produce and store the data, right? In 2003, at that time, from 0 to 2003, complete world data was 2 zettabytes data. You know, right? We uh, how we say sizes, MBs, GBs, TBs, PBs, then GBs, zettabytes. So from the beginning, when people started storing data into devices, from that point to 2003, complete world data was 2 zettabytes. From 2011, every 2 days, we are able to produce this amount of data, 2 zettabytes of data. See how fast we started producing data, because social networking site came into the picture, and smartphones, everyone started using smartphones, right? So here we are generating lots and lots of data. Existing databases are there. Still, they are not able to collect that much amount of the data. Let's go back to PPT. Okay. So simple definition. This definition is global definition for big data. Everywhere people use same. Big data is a term applied to data sets whose size is beyond the ability of commonly used software tools. Commonly used software tools means on-hand databases to capture, manage, and process the data within tolerable elapsed time. We can define this big data with V's. One is volume, and the one is velocity, and the one is variety, and the one is veracity. Volume, whose in size. When I say volume, it is huge in size. That is TBs to PBs, terabytes to petabytes of data. Velocity, how fast we are generating data. I just explained, from 2011, we are producing 2 zettabytes of data every 2 days. Volume and velocity and variety. Different kinds of data. Different kinds of data means structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. What is structured data? Structured data means the data which has some schema. We call it as structured data. Let's say we have one employee table. So in this employee table, serial number name, location. Okay, serial number 1, Smith, some UK, 2, John, US. Some kind of data. It is following some schema, like first column is serial number, second column is name, third column is location. This kind of data we call it as a structured data. The data which has some schema, we call it as structured data. What is the unstructured data? The data which don't have any schema, we call it as unstructured data. Example, audios, videos, images, text files, logs, all this comes under unstructured data. Unstructured data. And semi-structured data. What is semi-structured data? The data which has some schema but not complete schema, we call it as semi-structured data. Examples, XML files, XML files. Let's say how XML files will be. For example, one record is there, record open, and record name column will be there. In name, some data will be there. Name column close, and location of HYD, location close, and record close. This will be the first column, and same for second column, record name Sachin. Name column will be closed, and location same, location, and Mumbai location will close, and record will close. So this data is also having some schema but not complete schema. This kind of data we call it as semi-structured data. Okay, on-hand databases. On-hand databases means existing databases like MySQL, Oracle, DB2, Teradata. Like we have many other databases. These existing databases can able to load, store, and process only structured data. These are not able to process unstructured data, and also have these databases having limitations for storage. For example, let's take MySQL or Oracle. If you configure your MySQL with the server 2 TB server, you can able to store up to 2 TB only. 2 TB only. When your data reaches more than 2 TB, you need to purchase new server having more capacity than this 2 TB. You need to move all your old data to this new server, and whatever the new data will come, it will come to the new server. Okay, let's go back to PPT. Okay, every minute, how much data we are generating? Here we have different sources like Google, Facebook, Tinder, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, Amazon, Pandora, Apple downloads. Many sources are there. We mentioned a few sources of data, how much data we are generating. This is volume of data from different sources. 6 billion people have phones, world population 7 billion. This is old slide. Now data is more, we are getting more data day by day, and from different sources we are getting, from sensors, from different connections we are getting data, and variety different kinds of data structures, semi-structured and unstructured data. Okay, veracity means uncertainty of data. When your data is corrupted, when you don't have, okay, let's say we have one, okay, we have some data set. In the data set we don't have complete details. We have okay, first row we have all 5 columns, and second row we have only third column data, and fourth row you have only fifth column data. Like that, this data is not complete data, and also this data got corrupted. This kind of data also we need to process. That kind of things we call it as veracity. So Gartner's predict 800% data growth over next 5 years. 80 to 90% of data will be unstructured. Only 10 to 20% of data will be structured data. So here we are able to process structured data with on-hand databases, but 80 to 90% of data will be unstructured data. So we need to process this data also. For that, we need some different database or different storage system for this huge data. Guys, any questions till now? You can type your questions in the chat if you have any questions. Okay, no from Umesh. Okay, I'll take it as a no. So let me give you a small example. Let's say we have, okay, we have 100 people, 100 people. This 100 people are doing some online shopping. Let's say this 100 people. In that 100 people, two are looking for some books. Five are looking for pen drive. Some five others are looking for MacBook. Like this, we have details. So, if I advertise this MacBook in this 100 to this 100 people, is it worth? Or if I advertise this MacBook to only the 5 users who are interested, that will worth? Which scenario is the best? Do I need to advertise it to the 100 people or only 5 people? I'm expecting your answer in the chat box. First scenario or second scenario? Which one is the best? Only 5. Yeah. Pankaj saying 100. Okay, let's say now this will make this 100 to 1 lakh. In that 1 lakh, you have only 5 people are interested in Mac. So if you, yeah. So okay, so we need to advertise it to the people who are interested in that particular product. For that, what we need to do, people will go to the website like Amazon, they will spend some time to read about that product and see the reviews and uh, uh, see the specifications of that product. They'll spend some time. So whenever they are spending some time on that website, in the back end, they will generate some logs. If you are able to process that logs, you can understand which customer is interested in which product. By doing that, they can directly advertise. Did you observe that whenever you search for some pen drive, hard disk, or anything, you are able to see same product advertisement in your Facebook page, right? So if they are able to analyze 100 customer data, they'll get that much of benefit out of it. If they are able to analyze 1 lakh customer data, they'll get that much of benefit out of it. If they are able to analyze 1 billion customer data, they'll get that much of value out of it. If you are able to analyze huge data, you will get huge benefit out of it. Big data, big value. So here 80 to 90% of data will be the unstructured. So you need to process that data also, that unstructured data also. Here's some sources of your big data from where we are generating this big data. Weblogs, radio frequency IDs, sensor networks, social data, internet text index, call detail records, astronomy, atmospheric science, biological, multi-surveillance, medical records, photography, videos, and archives. We mentioned very few sources of big data. So these all are the sources of uh, big data. Let me explain one example here. Medical records. What happen when you go to doctor? When you go to doctor, let's say when you take your parents to the doctor, what they will ask? They will ask about the medical history, what medications they are going through, any health issues previously they faced, all these things they will ask. So instead of that, maybe in US, what they'll do, they have their social security number. With that, their all the information, all their medical information will be tagged to that social security number. Whenever they open it, they will get all the details, the report, the scanning reports, EMR reports, all the data will be available in front of the doctor whenever he get a patient. So it will be easy for them, and they can treat the patient accurately by using that data. So there they need to store images, like MRI reports or some X-ray data, some different kinds of data they need to be stored. But with existing databases they can't do it because it is huge, and they need to store all the historical data as well. See here, ERP, CRM, web, and big data. Purchase details. When you do some purchases in online or banking or something, all these are the structured data. Structured data. Those data will be available in your tables. The size of the data is in MBs. When it is changing to segmentation, offer details, customer touches, support contacts, it is changing to GB. When it is coming to logs, offer history, dynamic pricing, affiliate networks, search marketing, dynamic funnels, behavioral targeting, and sensors, RFIDs, the size is changing. When your data complexity, data is changing from structured to unstructured, size also increasing. Size also increasing parallelly. Challenges of big data. So here we have data, huge amount of data. It is in different structures. What are the challenges with this big data? How we can capture and deliver data to right people in real time. Data is huge and different forms. How you can work with the data with existing databases. How we can understand and use big data when it is in variety of forms. How we can store, analyze the data given its size and computational capacity. While the storage capacity of hard drive have increased massively, that's what in the beginning we discussed, from 40 GB to 1 TB storage is increased. but the latest port, USB port, the latest port, the blue one is 3.2. That is the fastest data copying port, that 3.0. It is not kept up according to the storage capacity. With the storage capacity of a hard drive has increased massively over the years, access speed, the rate at which data can be read from drives, have not kept up. Guys, any questions till now? If you have any questions, if it is a small question, feel free to ask your questions. No problem in asking questions. Anyone, any questions? What is the hardest issue regarding drives? So, see, you are able to store 1 TB data drives. It's regarding hard disks. Yeah. So the issue means if you want to process the data, you have 2 TB hard disk, but you want to copy that 1 TB data, it won't complete in minutes. It will take hours. The capacity, read write capacity is not increased according to storage capacity. You got me, Ronald? Okay. So here we are seeing I want to process 100 TB data with one node. It will take 23 days to complete it when it is doing scanning 50 MB per second. 50 MB per second, it is taking 23 days. If I use 1000 node cluster, it will complete in 33 minutes. What is cluster? Any idea? Anyone? Cluster. Yes, exactly, Ronald. Group of computers. This is a simple single server. Cluster means group of computers working for a common goal. We call it as a cluster. So when you are working with cluster, they're mentioned like 1000 node cluster with same speed 50 MB per second, it will complete in 33 minutes. Let's say here it is 1000 node cluster. What happened in this 1000 nodes? 10 nodes got failed, or in 10 nodes data got corrupted. Maybe nodes got failed due to network issue, nodes got disconnected, or any power issue. Anything can happen. How you can overcome this kind of failures? Okay, here you are processing with 1000 nodes, you will get 1000 different outputs. How will you combine the 1000 outputs and how will you give the final output? That is also a issue with existing databases. Okay, traditional systems, they can't scale, not reliable and very expensive. Now coming into our main topic, that is Hadoop. Big data is huge amount of data having different characteristics like volume, velocity, and variety. This Hadoop is the solution for that big data. Apache Hadoop is a software framework that supports data intensive distributed application under a free license. It enables application to work with thousands of nodes, and petabytes of data. Hadoop was inspired by Google MapReduce and Google File System. Okay, let me explain this. Before Hadoop came into the picture, Google was dealing with huge amount of data. Whatever you search in Google, you will immediately get the result, number of pages. 1 second, guys. Yeah, I'm back. So before Hadoop also, Google was dealing with huge amount of data. They released white papers how they are doing it. On basis of that white papers, they started developing HDFS and MapReduce. What is this HDFS? What is this MapReduce? HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. It is a storage, and MapReduce. It is a process the data whatever distributed across the HDFS. So what is HDFS? HDFS means Hadoop Distributed File System. MapReduce means we use MapReduce to process this data. Okay, I will explain the architecture also, Hadoop architecture, how it looks. And this Hadoop is an open source. We need not to pay for its license. Hadoop is a software framework that supports intensive distributed application under a free license. It enables application to work with thousands of nodes and petabytes of data. Why Hadoop? Hadoop runs on large cluster of commodity hardware or on cloud. Okay, I will explain what is commodity hardware. Anyone? What is commodity hardware? Any idea what is commodity hardware? Commodity hardware means less in price, cheap machines, cheap hardware. Commodity means less in commonly available machines. Like the machines we are using, it is not supercomputer. It is normal machines having hard disk, RAM, and processor. Okay. Hadoop runs on the cluster of commodity hardware. Let me give you one simple example for this commodity hardware. Let's say supercomputer. For this, I'm taking this iPhone as example, and for this one commodity hardware, normal, let's say some Realme brand I'm taking. So iPhone also a phone, Realme also a phone, but when you compare the price, it is like let's say $700. Here we'll get it for $60-70 will get this Realme, and you can make calls from iPhone, you can make calls from Realme, you can take pics, you can browse internet. But the quality, when you take pics, the quality of images is high in iPhone. It is not that much good as iPhone. uh, the quality, build quality good in your iPhone, but it is not good. Realme is not good when you compare to iPhone. And performance of iPhone is very high when you compare to this, but you can do calls and everything. All the features are available, whatever you have in iPhone, same thing available in Realme, but quality is different. That is different between commodity hardware and enterprise edition. This comes under enterprise edition. This comes under commodity hardware. For your understanding only, I'm telling this. Okay, so Hadoop cluster, that cluster built using commodity hardware, or on cloud. Cloud means in AWS or Azure, we can GCP, Google Cloud Platform. So we can use storage for cloud like AWS or Azure or GCP for this Hadoop. Or also you can use a physical cluster using commodity hardware. Robust. I said Hadoop is built with commodity hardware, means rate of failure is high. Hadoop is architected with the assumption of frequent hardware malfunctions. It can gracefully handle most such failures. That is robustness. Whenever they are building this Hadoop, at that time only they know they are using commodity hardware, rate of failures will be high. So they build to overcome all the failures. Scalable. What is scalability? I explained for MySQL, we are having 2 TB capacity server. In this already we have 1.5 TB data. 1.5 TB data. We need to add a more. Okay, we have more 0.5 TB space. When your client came and asking he want to store more 2 TB data, it is not possible, right? What they need to do? They need to purchase new server with more capacity. They need to copy old data to the new server, and also whatever the new data they are saying, we need to copy that new data to the new server. That is what we do with existing databases. When it comes to the cluster, here we have, let's say, 4 nodes, each one having 1 TB storage capacity. I already have 3 TB data. My client requirement is he want to store more 3 TB data. What we can do here, we can simply add more number of nodes to the existing cluster. Without disturbing existing data, we can add more number of nodes to the existing cluster. That feature, we call it as scalability. Okay, that feature is available on your Hadoop. Simple. Hadoop allows user to quickly write efficient and parallel codes. In Hadoop, sorry. Okay, let me give you architecture.
Hello,
HDFS
Naren.
basically. Yeah.
Naren.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes. May I ask you a question?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I'm asking, that means related to the scalability, it's both RDBMS and Hadoop is same. You can say that. Because of the cluster.
Sorry,
in the
come
cluster.
again. Yeah.
In cluster, you are adding an example as a cluster.
Okay.
That means if we have need more capacity, then we have to add the machine, simple, in the cluster.
Yeah.
And in the same scenario in Hadoop also, we have to add the machine.
Yes.
If we have
Okay, you are saying that with on hand existing databases, you can able to do that.
Yes.
So which databases you are talking about? Which server?
No, just you have take the example as a cluster. Right now I'm using the cluster, no, in database.
Okay. Okay, you are using.
So
Okay, you are working on data lake.
data cluster, MySQL cluster,
Okay.
and it's
My,
also OS level cluster also used.
okay. So how you will commission and decommission nodes here? And here you
Yes.
use you don't use commodity hardware, right? Here use
No,
enterprise edition
commodity is
here.
not using. Yeah, commodity is not using.
Yeah, here you use commodity hardware, but initially when MySQL cluster, this concept when we got this concept in MySQL cluster concept, which year? Very recent, right? Previously we don't have cluster concept in MySQL, Oracle, DB2, these databases.
Yes,
Initially, the
yes.
first one we got in Teradata. Teradata, they started using clusters. They started using cluster, but still they have cluster, but they are not able to process unstructured data and semi-structured data. So here, that's why here we can able to do it in our Hadoop.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So initially the storage, your cluster name is HDFS, that is Hadoop Distributed File System. On top of that, to process the data, we have MR. MR means map reduce. So map reduce, why we call it as map reduce? Your data will be divided across the cluster. Whatever that 1 GB or 10 TB, the data will be divided across the cluster. When you want to process, it need to map your data, and you will get the result, and you need to uh, it need to reduce, and it need to give the final output. That's why they call it as map reduce. Initially we have only these two in Hadoop. After that, Facebook came to know about this Hadoop. Facebook came to know more features of this Hadoop. They want to use it, but Facebook front end is PHP and back end is MySQL, as you know. So you mean reduce of space? Ronald, can you please unmute yourself and you can ask your question? Okay, you mean you can always increase capacity. This flexibility is there according to our requirement, according to burden. We can increase space in our cluster by adding more number of nodes. Okay. So here Facebook want to use this Hadoop HDFS. So at that time they don't have Java guys to process and analyze Java guys in their team. So they developed a tool called Hive. Their team will give queries in SQL-like queries, that is SQL Hive query language. This Hive will convert that SQL-like query, SQL-like queries into MapReduce and execute on your HDFS, on your distributed database. Same way, Yahoo also want to use this Hadoop, but they have scripting guys. So they developed a tool called PIG, and the language is Pig Latin. It is a scripting like language. This will convert that Pig Latin into MapReduce code, and it will execute on your HDFS. If you want to directly write MapReduce code, you need to write it in Java. Okay, you need to know all core Java concepts to write this MapReduce code. So here we have HDFS, MapReduce, Hive, Pig, and Scoop. This is for data processing, Hive, Pig, and MapReduce. And here scoop, we already having data in different databases like Oracle, DB2, MySQL, Teradata, or different databases. We need to bring that data to HDFS to process. We'll do migrations, right? Same way, we need to bring the data from existing databases to HDFS. For that, initial days, they need to create APIs between that HDFS and the existing databases. It will take months of time for different projects, different requirements, different databases, different tables. After that, to overcome that, they created a tool called Scoop. Using the Scoop, you can connect with any database and it will act as a bridge between HDFS and other databases. You can import and export data using Scoop. And also we have another tool called OZ. Every day at 3 a.m. I want to import data from different databases to HDFS. This is regular process. To do this, what will we do? We will create jobs in OZ. It is a scheduler, job scheduler. We can schedule jobs in OZ and jobs will run on particular time whenever you want to run those jobs. You need to configure it in OZ. So in this Hadoop thumb rule is write once, read many times. You can't modify the data. Once you read, you can analyze a number of times, but you can't modify existing data. To overcome that, we added a tool called HBase. Using HBase, we can modify data in your HDFS. Okay, these all are the tools available in Hadoop. You can run parallelly Hive, Scoop, Oozie, all jobs parallelly in Hadoop. Okay, that is here simple. Hadoop allows users to quickly write efficient and parallel code. Data locality. Okay, let me explain this data locality. It is also one of the best feature of your Hadoop. What happens in on-hand databases? Let's say here you have 1 TB data. To process that, you return code, 2 MB code. When you want to process this data in on-hand databases, this data will go to that code and it will process and you will get your result. In Hadoop cluster, when you have this 2 TB data, your code, this 2 MB code will go to your data and it will execute there and you will get your result. This is called data locality. Data locality. It is called code locality. Code locality. Okay. What is difference between code locality and data locality? Here your code is sitting idle, your data is moving. Here your data is sitting, your code is moving. What is the benefit of it? Here network traffic is 1 TB. In this scenario, my network traffic is 2 MB. Okay. That is data locality. Replication. User replication across the server deal with unreliable storage server. We have this feature in AWS also, in S3 also, in HDFS also. What it will do, it will replicate your data. It will keep copies of your data in 3 different nodes. Node is nothing but a system. For each data will have 3 copies. That is replication factor. Default replication factor in Hadoop is 3 and block size is 128 MB. Your data will be divided into blocks. That thing we'll discuss in HDFS session. Hadoop distributed file system, how data is dividing, on what basis it is replicating. and rack awareness, many good concepts regarding cluster and all we are going to discuss in HDFS session. Okay, here replication factor is completed. Business drivers. As we discussed, big data, big value. If you are able to analyze huge data, you will get huge value out of it. Financial drivers, cost advantage, and it is open source, commodity hardware, low cost per TB. Technical drivers, existing system failing under growing requirements of previous volume, velocity, and variety. Okay, so for business, what they look, cost cutting, they need not to pay any money for its license because it is open source, and here commodity hardware less in price, and they can able to work with huge data, big value. Any questions, guys? Till now, any questions? You want me to ask any questions? You can ask now. After your questions, I'll go to the next slide. If you don't have any questions, you can type no. If you have any questions, unmute yourself and you can ask. Okay, no, I know from Nandan. Other guys following, any questions? Okay, I'll take it as a no. So here comparison with RDBMS. SQL is designed for structured data, scales up, need databases class servers, not economical. A machine with 4 times power of standard PC costs a lot more than putting such a PC in a cluster. Here in Hadoop, everything is a key value pairs instead of relational tables. Here we use functional programming instead of SQL, offline processing instead of online transaction processing. Here RDBMS, GBs of data we process. Here in MapReduce Hadoop we process petabytes of data. Here interactive and batch processing. Here we do batch processing only. Read and write many times. Here write once, read many times. Static schema, here it is dynamic schema. Integrity is high, integrity is slow in Hadoop, and scaling non-linear, here it is linear. Who uses Hadoop? Everyone started using Hadoop. Every company started using Hadoop, and okay, every company started using Hadoop. So now let me tell you about how now scenario for Hadoop. What are the tools we need to know? In Hadoop, now it is changed to Spark, and it's on cloud. Previously, people call us like Hadoopers. Now the role changed to data engineers. So we should have knowledge on Hadoop, distributed file system, how data will be distributed across the cluster, and we need to have knowledge on Hive and other tools. And in Spark is advanced to your Hadoop. Here we need to have knowledge on RDDs, transformations, and data frames. And instead of HDFS, people started using cloud, that is S3 or Azure or GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Okay, here we have a good market for data engineers in now in market. We need to get idea on all the tools in Hadoop along with Spark plus some knowledge on cloud. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions. Guys, any questions? Anything related to Hadoop or data engineering or any advanced tools what we are using currently in the market? Anything, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm here to answer your questions.
So Spark and Scala come under
Okay, Krishna is asking Spark and Scala. So here we have two things people use, uh, Spark with Scala or Spark with Python. We call it as a PySpark. So here you can, it's completely depends on the project when you decide. Uh, we use this RTDs and transformations using data frames using the Scala or Python. Both ways we can do. Okay, both way we can do, and most of the projects are available with Python, PySpark. Some projects still follow Scala because Spark developed using Scala only. So people, some projects, some clients use Scala, and in Python, advantage of Python is many open source code is available already across internet. So both are having equal role. Python is a little more in that equal. Any other questions? Okay, here in chat box. Rami, thanks. Yeah. Okay. Krishna, you are talking. Your voice is breaking. Can you please type your question in the chat box? Yeah, you have. There's some background noises we are getting. I'm not able to understand what you're asking. Maybe you're traveling or something. Okay. You're typing? Okay, I got a ping in chat. Okay, yeah, I'll wait for your question. So Hadoop is base for all data engineer or data science. Everyone should know about this Hadoop. So here in this Hadoop, okay, waiting for your question. There are companies like Cloudera and Hortonworks are belong to data analysis or data engineer. Okay, Hortonworks, Cloudera, and okay, there are companies like Hortonworks belong to data analyst or data engineer. Okay, data engineer nothing but Hadoop plus cloud. When you are using this Hadoop on cloud, we call it as data engineer. When you are using on physical cluster, we are using term data Hadoop data analyst or Hadooper we call it. When we merge Hadoop with cloud, we call it as data engineer. That is any cloud, that is AWS or Azure or your GCP, Google Cloud Platform. So any other question, guys? If no, we'll wrap up this session for the day. And here in the chat box, we have some links. Please send, please go through that links and fill the form, whatever they shared across, to get this video and the PPT what I discussed in this session. Can you please tell the roles and responsibilities of data engineer? Yeah, good question, Krishna. Here, what we do normally as a data engineer or Hadoop, so we'll get huge amount of data upstream and downstream. Let's say upstream, downstream, and between data lake. So business people, they don't know about the code and all. They just want to see the percentages that they want to see in maps or some graphical representation. They want to see how their business is going on. Normally, they have all the data in existing databases, different databases. Like, let's take example of some Pepsi. They have different, okay, they sell different products. One of them is coolings and some chips, some biscuits, all comes under that thing, and all are having that Pepsi having different vendors who give data to Pepsi, and their transportation data and their syrup data and their bottlers data. All the data will be having in different databases. So we need to bring that data into somewhere in between, that is maybe cloud, that is maybe HDFS. We need to process, we need to clean the data, we need to match different tables, we need to give result according to the client requirement, and that data will be feed to the some reporting tool, Tableau or some reporting tool, so they can view the result on their dashboards. So we act as a bridge between the source and the downstream. And also for data scientists, they want to build some model. They need data in a proper format. For that also, they use these tools, what Hadoop or Spark, PySpark. They use these tools to analyze, to clean, to make it in a proper format. They use this Hadoop. Okay, so data loading, data cleaning, data processing, all these things we'll do in our day-to-day job. Do you have an answer for your question, Krishna? So here we use, okay, here in Hadoop, I'm calling it as a Hive. In AWS, we call it as Athena. In Hadoop, I'm calling it as HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. In AWS, we call it as S3. All concepts are same, but naming convention is different. Small, little changes will be there. Concepts almost same. Okay. Any other questions, guys? I'm happy to answer your questions. Feel free to ask any question. If you have 0.01% doubt, also you can ask me. I am here to answer your questions. If you don't have any questions, we will wrap up this session. And okay, I'm not getting any questions. Thank you, guys. Thanks for attending. Stay safe, stay home. Thanks for attending again. All the best. Bye.